flesh and bones. These minerals are then in the water and together with sunlight are nourishment for the plankton. So the whole cycle moves full circle and a balance is maintained. Normally it's in late spring that the first of the pied flycatchers return to this Welsh countryside. They've spent the winter in Africa and have now made their way back through Spain and Portugal to their oak woods. Usually they nest in holes in trees, often the abandoned holes of woodpeckers, for instance. But the birds here are part of a scientific study, so nest boxes have been placed out for them. The black and white male selects one, establishes a territory around it, and tries to entice a female into his new home. In 1985, there were only 3 pairs of pied flycatchers nesting in natural nest sites around this particular farm. In 1986, around 100 nest boxes were positioned in suitable places around the area. The following season, nearly 70% of those boxes were occupied and used by breeding pairs of flycatchers. So the only factor that seems to be limiting their numbers is the availability of suitable nest sites. It's certainly not food. There's more than enough for each pair to rear 6 or 7 chicks. Their principal food source consists of spiders, flies and other insects, but especially caterpillars. They're particularly fond of the small green caterpillars of the tortrix moth that feeds on oak leaves. In fact, like many other species of birds, such as blue tits, red starts and great tits, their whole breeding cycle is timed so their chicks hatch at a time when these caterpillars are most abundant. Well, I hope that's given you an insight into the many different life cycles that exist in the animal kingdom. I'm going to say goodbye now, and you go for a walk in the rockery.
Why can't everyone in the world sit down together and say, hello, sister, hello, brother, let's be friends? Would any of us be any happier if money grew on trees and we had everything we wanted? If we could do things faster, if we could travel from here to America and back in half a day, are we likely to be any happier? What would happen if I had made the world, or if you had made the world?
If I made the world, I would make money trees and buy lots of toys.
I wish that people would be kind and not bully each other. I would make the world so everybody was rich and no one was poor. Jelly every time.
Jelly every time.
If I made the world, I'd make sure that everybody had enough to eat and drink.
A machine that cures all illnesses.
I'd make it so there were no thieves, everybody were happy, there were no handicapped, there were no smoking.
And it wouldn't be this world, it'd be the tropical world with all the fruits. And you wouldn't have to get it from the bowl, you could just go out into the jungle and pick some.
If I made the world, I'd want to be a bridesmaid.
If I made the world, I would help the old people to make houses and to live in them.
I'd make everybody love, and I wouldn't make anybody hate anybody.
I would get a special food from the jungle and give it to people who were poorly.
If I made the world, I'd make everybody happy, even the poorly people.
If people were hungry and they were dying, I'd give them food.
I'd help everybody.
If I made the world, I would make the animals speak and not be fierce.
If I made the world, I would make everyone rich and make people take care of each other, and there would be no accidents and people would take care in the cars. I'd make people well and healthy, and I'd make people very kind, and I'd make them not being sick, and I'll give them medicine, and if they feel poorly, I'll take them to the hospital.
Hello. Those children were talking about what they would do if they could remake our world, yours and mine. I want you to think carefully about what you would do to improve our world. I wonder if you'd do anything like the little Chinese boy in our story today. The story's called Ma Liang and the Magic Brush. Once upon a time in China, there was a boy called Ma Liang. He liked drawing, but he was too poor to buy a brush. So he drew with stones, he drew with sticks, and he drew with his fingers. One night he said, "I need a brush. If I had a brush, I could draw some pictures for the poor people of my village." Suddenly, an old man appeared. He had a long white beard. Ma Liang rubbed his eyes. The old man said, "Don't be frightened. Here's a brush for you, but you must only draw pictures for poor people." When the old man had gone, Ma Liang began to draw with his new brush. He drew a cockerel, and it changed into a real cockerel. "Wow," he said, "this is a magic brush." The next day, he drew pictures for the poor people in his village. He watched a woman cutting wood. "You need an axe," he said. "If you had an axe, you could cut wood quickly." So he drew an axe, and it changed into a real axe. Next, he watched a man pulling a plough. "You need a buffalo," he said. "If you had a buffalo, you could plough your land very quickly." So he drew a buffalo, and it changed into a real buffalo. He went all over the village and drew what people needed. Soon, the king heard about Ma Liang and his magic brush. He sent his soldiers to find Ma Liang. They took Ma Liang to the king. The king said, "Draw me a tree covered with gold coins." Ma Liang said, "No, I won't. You don't need any more gold coins." The king was very angry. "You wicked boy, I'll put you in prison." So his soldiers put Ma Liang in prison and locked the door. Ma Liang said, "I need a key. If I had a key, I could open the door." So he drew a key and it changed into a real key. He opened the door with it and he escaped. And the king and the soldiers jumped on their horses and chased after him. Ma Liang said, "I need a horse." So he drew a horse and it changed into a real horse. He jumped on the horse and he galloped away. But still the king and the soldiers chased Ma Liang. "I know what I'll do," he said. He drew a hole and it changed into a real hole. He watched the king and the soldiers coming nearer and nearer. They were riding too fast to stop. They galloped into the hole and then they disappeared. Ma Liang was safe. He rode home and told his story to all the people in his village. I hope you enjoyed that story. And now, there's someone I'd like you to meet. Come with me. This is Donna Pexton. Hello, Donna.
Hello.
And she's very kindly brought some paintings from her school. And the paintings are in this book, but she brought some other paintings as well. Nice, big paintings. So we've put them up on the wall, and Donna's going to tell us what they are. Aren't you, Donna?
Yes.
What's this first painting that we're going to look at?
It's about space and all the stars and the bright colours and it's all neat and tidy.
Yes, space is much, much neater, isn't it, in that picture?
Yes.
And there's one next to it, I think. Yes, now what's this one?
This is all vegetables what are going up, you know, like our trees and then water running by like a river.
And lots of vegetables, enough for everybody in the world.
Yes.
Yes, that's a very good idea. And now, you painted this picture yourself, didn't you?
Yes.
What's this picture of?
This is about sheep and all the fish in the lake and all animals what are safe.
In a nice big field.
Yes.
Plenty of room and very safe. Ah, and here's one in space. This is very bright, isn't it?
Yes, very.
Lots of bright planets all whizzing around. And here's another one in space. Tell me about this one.
This is all bright colours, you know, can see in our sky and things.
Much, much brighter than the world that we live in, isn't it? Much
Yes,
more
it is.
colourful. Oh, and here's a fun one. What's happening in this picture?
Well, there's lemonade trees and there's chocolate cactuses what we'd like to eat if anybody were hungry.
So they're growing in the ground, aren't they? What else is
Yes.
growing in the picture?
Well, there's trees of
Crisps growing on trees.
Yes.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? What else is growing?
Then there's a fruitcake house.
And there's a tree with chocolate beans on, isn't there?
Yes, and then there's toffee apple.
Toffee apples and lollipops. And it's raining lemonade, isn't it?
Yes.
So if we lived in that world, we could actually drink the rain, couldn't we?
Yes, we
That'd be
could.
fun, yes. Well, thank you very much, Donna, for bringing all those pictures in to show us. And Donna's brought some more pictures, which we're going to look at in a minute. But now it's time for Donna and for me to say goodbye. But before you go, have a look at these pictures. Say goodbye, Donna.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Here's a picture of big motorways with cars speeding along very, very fast, getting round the world in no time at all. And here's a happy, happy family, children playing and mum and dad with the children, dad sitting in his chair relaxing. What a nice world that would be. Have a nice day at school. Till next time, goodbye.